do we deal with the changing seasons in life, in the year, when we're really not ready to? That's what we're going to be looking at today. Welcome back to Loving Life. Now, those who know me, whether you know me or not, if you've followed me for long enough, if you've listened for long enough, then you will know that normally by the 1st of September, I'm in full autumn mode. I love autumn. I'm ready for the change in seasons. I'm ready for the temperature change, ready for jumpers, ready for candles, pumpkins. But this year, it was different. I noticed myself in the first 2 weeks of September feeling really quite sad, and I want to say a little bit depressed, but I don't want to over dramatize it, to be honest, because those who genuinely suffer with depression, it's a little bit insulting. But I was genuinely really down. I'm really out of sorts, really out of my normal vibe, And I think the reason is because obviously, as you know, we invested in one of our dreams this year, which was a swimming pool, and we had the best weather over the summer. Like, I totally embraced summer, and normally I'm not so much of a summer person. I am definitely normally an autumn person, but oh God, this year I was in the garden constantly, and I just really wasn't ready for it to end. Not just the pool, but the surroundings in my garden. Like, it's just such a lovely place to be. Yeah, and I wasn't feeling it this year. And so that has really inspired me to talk about how do we deal with change when we've got no control over it. How do we deal with changing seasons? And when I say changing seasons, I don't just mean weather seasons, seasons of the year. I mean seasons of our life as well. I can think of so many situations where things change and we might not be ready for it. When you've got children, when they get to the next step and you have to take more of a back seat, I can resonate with that one as well. Hormonal changes are thrust upon us and we've got no control over that. How do you deal with all these things when you're really not feeling ready for it? I'm just going to take it back to the literal seasons of the year for a minute, because that is what I can really resonate with at this moment in time. You feel free to bring in whatever season you don't feel ready to embrace yet, or haven't felt ready to embrace yet. But for me, like I said, I felt really quite low. I was ill a couple of weeks ago as well, and I think that probably had something to do with it, like my low energy, my low mood. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you find that when you are high vibe and when you are like genuinely loving life, that your immune system is amazing? You don't come down with colds and you don't come down with illnesses because you're in such a good place. Like, yeah, hopefully you know what I mean by that. But I just felt really, like, the best way I can put it is out of sorts. I felt like I was grieving summer, grieving my garden. Now, obviously, we've got Rufus as well. So, and he's still very much settling in, getting used to actually being fucking chill. So that doesn't help either, because he loves the garden as well. So having to bring him in when the weather's a little bit shit, rather than running around mental in the garden, he's running around mental in the house. So like all these things have just built up to not being ready for it. But I just want to say that resistance to change is natural. Like, even if you're not, even if you're someone who's normally good at change or the different seasons, as it is for me, or good with transitions, it's okay for you not to be sometimes. We are human at the end of the day, and we naturally have a need for familiarity. We naturally tend to like the comfort that we get from routines and the things that feel good. So like I said, being out in the sun, especially because we had such lovely weather, being out in the sun, the late evenings, the having pizza in the garden with the boys and Craig, just all of those things that have felt good. So obviously, there are times when we just don't want to give that up. It can feel like you are grieving for the things that you're not ready to let go of, not ready to give up. And that can make you sad, and then we've got our inner seasons. And what I mean by that is we can liken our energy to the seasons of the year. So typically when it's high energy, it can be likened to summer. When we are starting to dwindle, then that obviously represents autumn. And of course, over the winter, when we are naturally wanting to hibernate and stay cozy. And then when our energy starts to build up again, obviously that is likened to spring. And you can say this about our energy levels, you can say this about our monthly cycles. And sometimes these don't all match up. So sometimes our energy levels won't necessarily match the season of the year. And that's when it can become a little bit of a struggle. And I think that's what's probably happens to me, is that I was still really feeling that high summer energy. And it's so funny because normally when it's September, as soon as it's September the 1st, normally I have a burst of energy. It's like the change in the seasons gives me energy. So it's almost like I have a cycle within that season, if you know what I mean. I'm always ready for the next change, for the transition into the next season. And to be honest, usually I get, I've said all this about having, comfort from routine and things like this, but I think one of the reasons for why I'm normally ready for change is because I get bored easily. So I'm ready for the next thing. I like routine. I like comfort. I like predictability for a certain amount of time. And then I'm ready for a change, And usually that's what happens to me on the 1st of September, However, I will say that now it's obviously today, it's the 3rd of October. There's a chill in the air. It's actually raining today. And I actually do feel ready now, finally. But this being ready didn't come instantly. It took time. It took longer than usual. It came later for me than usual this year. So when we liken that to life changes, to seasons in our life, sometimes it's not about forcing ourselves to move on. Sometimes it's honouring what it is that you are still craving and letting that shift happen naturally and gently and in its own time. So what can we do when we genuinely don't feel ready for change, whatever that change is? As always, the first thing I always say is bring in gratitude. Honour what you are leaving behind with gratitude. How do we do that? So even if you are resisting the change, focus on what you are grateful for that. What have you experienced that you are grateful for? What memories have you got that you're grateful for? And I've kind of had to do this with something else recently as well. We've got a new car. So I have had to say goodbye to my beloved Tesla. We get all our cars on a lease, and the lease is up. So we've got a new car, and I didn't feel ready to let go of my Tesla. It got picked up yesterday, actually. And as I was cleaning it and getting it ready for its new owners, I was really putting so much love and gratitude into everything I was doing to prepare for that. So as I was cleaning it, as I was vacuuming it, as I was clearing out all the crap that the boys have left in the back, just thanking, my neighbours must think I'm bonkers, but thanking the car for every single time that it's kept us safe on a journey, for every amazing trip that has taken us on. You know, we've driven up to Scotland in that, we've driven to the south of France in that. So as I was cleaning it, was thanking the car for providing us with those memories, for giving us such a comfortable experience. I love the Tesla. If anyone's thinking of getting a Tesla, do it. They're amazing. Oh, and I'm selling a Tesla mattress if anyone's interested, because I don't need it anymore. And as I was vacuuming the boot, I said to my Tesla, please look after your new owners. It was like I was passing it on. It's going on to its own new season of life. I'm going on to my next season of life as well, with, you know, in terms of vehicles. And I am really excited about the next one that I've got. That's going to bring a whole different type of experience. But yeah, so I've really had to draw on that gratitude myself for other things recently as well. So the next thing that we can do when we're not necessarily ready for change or for the next step, bring small pieces of what you loved about that into the new season. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so for example, I don't have to necessarily stop using my garden now, even though it's raining today, even though it's colder. You know, I have got a heated area in the garden. I could sit out there with a blanket. I have been loving working out in the garden this summer. Why can't I do that in the winter as well, or in the autumn? So I can adapt how I have been doing it and just bring that into the new season. So I can take some of that and carry some of that over. Yes, there's things I'm going to need to change about it, but I can bring it in. So look for what you can bring into the new season of life, of the year, and whatever it is for you. The next thing is to look for new gifts in what the next season ahead brings. So bringing it back to what I'm talking about, like the things I genuinely love about autumn is fairy lights and coziness and making roast dinners and making soups. Like, I don't do any of that over the summer. I do fairy lights because fairy lights are for every single day, to be honest. But I don't make soups. I don't make roast dinners. Like, all of those things that I love doing, I can start bringing that in now. In the summer, you know, because I am one of those who goes to bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at a push, I wasn't seeing the garden lit up. So we've got all these beautiful lights in the garden. Well, now the nights are starting to draw in. I can have the lights on earlier and I can enjoy that. I can enjoy looking out of my kitchen window and seeing the garden lit up, which I wasn't really doing in the summer. So that's something new that I can bring in. You can support your energy through simple grounding practices. And I'm going to take you through one of those in a minute. I've got a visualization coming up shortly, but breathing exercises, like just regulating your nervous system and telling yourself it's okay. You are safe. You will be fine. And trusting that being ready and trusting that you will be ready. If you give it time, if you allow it space, especially if you do those things like bring in gratitude, then you will feel ready when the time's right. And it's just like trusting that process and having a little bit of compassion for how you're feeling. Okay, so before we finish, I would just like to guide you through a short reflection. So if you're able to, just close your eyes for a moment. If you're not able to close your eyes, then you can still do this with your eyes open. Okay, so just take a slow, deep breath in and out. Let your shoulders soften. Allow your body to relax wherever you are. And in your mind's eye, I want you to picture yourself standing at the edge of the season of your life that you are reluctant to let go of. And you're holding all the joy and warmth of that season in your hands. The good times, the moments that made you smile, the memories. Feel the gratitude for these memories, for the energy that that season gave you. As you breathe out, imagine gently placing that season on a shelf, knowing it's always there to revisit whenever you want, but it doesn't need to be carried right now. And then with your other hand, imagine the next season arriving. Maybe it looks like the gentle glow of a candle. Maybe it looks like freedom, more time for yourself. And notice the shift. Softer. It's inviting you to slow down. Take a moment to drop into your heart and welcome this season in your own way. Maybe you could say a quiet thank you, or just simply notice how it feels to receive this new energy. Breathe deeply, letting this sense of acceptance flow through your body. And when you're ready, gently wiggle your fingers and toes and bring your awareness back to me. So if you are someone who, like me, has not been ready to say goodbye to summer, or if you are going through a change that you are not ready for, that's okay. Your readiness will come. I finally made my peace that it's autumn, and in fact, I might get all the autumn things out today. We'll see. Okay, just a journaling prompt to take with you, and just do this in your own time. But what am I holding on to from the last season? And bring in whatever season that means to you, whether it's a season of the year, a season of your life, a season in your energy. What am I still holding on to from that last season? And what am I now ready to open up to? I hope this has helped. It's hard. It's hard when you're not ready and you've got no say. You've got no control over what you're not ready to let go of. Go gentle on yourself and be kind. It will all be okay, because it always is. Right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.